We are going to look at resistors. Okay, resistors are the core fundamentals to any electronics course. You have to nail this lesson so hard because it has got to be ingrained within the student's head on how to read resistors and how to see resistors in a circuit. Okay, so let's begin. Resistors. Alright, first off, you're going to see this in a circuit. Boop. Little heartbeat, boom, that's a resistor. Okay? You could also see something that looks like a stick of dynamite in a circuit with two fuses. Now, how they were labeled. So back in the old days, they used to have an appendix version where it said R1, and over here it would say R1, 1000, standing for 1000 ohm resistor. Later on, they just have the 1000 K here, and this is the post microcontroller age, I call it. So there was a point where there was a lot of new inventors on the market because the microcontroller got pushed onto the market and everybody became technically kind of like a new inventor, and they started to put new ways of thinking on there. So they started writing it like this. So you're going to see it. Is it right? If the invention works. Now, if you talk to an electrical engineer, they're going to like this one, and they're going to laugh at this one. It's alright. Okay, so now you come across a tub of resistors. There's hundreds in this tub. How do you identify a resistor? Well, they first off look like this. And they have little stripes on them. And mostly they have 4 bands, but there's 5 bands and 6 band resistors. 6 band being really rare. I have you get 5 band resistors for this course for one purpose. You have to use your multimeter a lot because they're really hard to see, but it forces you to use the multimeter. So that's why I made you guys get that one pack, because they have 5 band resistors in them. They're really hard to read. They're super bad. And if you think those are bad, the 6 band are pretty bad too. So the 4 band is the preferred ones for new students, but then they don't use the multimeter. But they are light brown usually, and then they have stripes on them. And the stripes kind of go like this for a 4 band. You got digit 1, digit 2, you have the multiplier, and then you have the tolerance. Alright, so now we have to just do this. This is, I shouldn't draw the end box here because there's a lot of these. Okay. So it will just kind of force me to be in this little area. So the colors are this: black, brown, red, orange, yellow, green. And these are really the ones you have to memorize the most. Okay? Now, the ones that you don't, blue, violet, gray, white. Now, I know I got this because there should be 10 of them all together starting at 0. So let's try it out. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so now there's a multiplier, and these come in later. So it's 1, 10, 100, 1000, 10K, and then 100K. And it goes on, but I would say just let's stick to this right here for this course. Boom. Boom. And you should be drawing these out too. So now I got this little card. You should be drawing these little cards too. They're really handy. You can put them in a little notebook, and they become a good resource. Okay, so now we can use the magical decoder ring to figure out a resistor that I kind of randomly think of. Okay, so red, orange, black, and the last one's the tolerancy. We're going to be using like eighth, quarter, and half tolerance. They are a color. We'll get into that later. Okay, the tolerancy isn't really important right now. So it's red, orange, black, and we'll just say this one's like silver. And we'll discard that color. So let's figure out what magical resistor this is. So it's a red, that counts as a 2. The orange counts as a 3. And then the multiplier is times 1. So 23 times 1 is 23. So it's a 23 ohm resistor. Easy, right? Cool. Alright, so let's find out how to read a 5-band resistor in the next video, or the next part of this. Alright, so we have now a 5-band resistor. So all the rules apply for the 5-band that the 4-band has. So we just go on to another card. And this is how to read a 5-band resistor. So this is a make your cards kind of cool. There's a 5-band. Alright, so in this case, it still looks like a peanut. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I find, what's cool about electronics is whoever can draw the best is a really good professor. There's no doubt about it. So if you get into a class, some of the professors are really good at whiteboards. They are super good at whiteboards. So here we go. We got digit 1, digit 2, digit 3 now, and then the multiplier, and then the tolerance. Alright, so let's just use the same one, right? So in this case, we got the same thing. Red, orange, black. We have to pick out one more color here. So let's go brown. So we'll go red, orange, black, brown, silver. Okay, so what is that? Red still counts as a 2. Orange counts as a 3. Black counts as a 0. Brown is the multiplier. At this time it's times 2. Okay, or times 10. So it's late. I'm sorry. So 230 times 10 equals 2,300 to 23K. So 2,300K. So 2,300K resistor. I cheated. I used a calculator. I don't think you saw that because it's on our screen, but I did. Alright, so that's how you read that resistor. Obviously they just added some bands, so what they can do, they can get to the lower regions of them and the higher regions of them, and that way they can get into like some really high resistance or really low resistance type of looking at these. I didn't really see a purpose too much other than that for getting into those. I had noticed that when they came out and they adopted the blue resistor, I was very sad. They were really hard to read, so I didn't like them too much, and we always ended up over here, and the only people that bought the 5 bands were the poor people, and these were the people that could afford the $2 resistor at Radio Shack when you could now buy 100 resistors for $2 now. But back then you couldn't do that because Radio Shack owned them or whatever. So it was kind of fun. It was a fun era to grow up in electronics. There's no doubt about it. I got a lot of fond memories of electronics. So there's the 5 band. There's my rant. We're not going into 6 band because I just don't use it, and I have never used it. So, but it's not discrediting it. It doesn't exist. But I would go to like digikey.com and check it out if you want to, or just type in 6 band calculator, resistor calculator online, and you should be able to do it. Alright, so now that we know 4 band and 5 band exists, what about our multimeter? Let's check that out. Alright, so in your class materials section, you were asked to order one of these. Okay, a multimeter. And a set of these clips. Now these clips are really good for measuring components. That's why I had you order those. Okay, so we use them all the time, either to attach things to the breadboard. We can attach them to little legs on the breadboard, or we can attach them to a resistor. Alright, so let's kind of look at a way to look at resistors. Alright, so instead of using the color bands on a resistor, we can also use a multimeter. So in your class materials, you were supposed to order a multimeter. This one, if you could, and also these clips. Now you don't have to use these clips, but these clips are invaluable when it comes down to measuring components, because you don't have to like have very much dexterity to do it. You can just attach them right to the components and then get a good reading. So if you had a resistor that looked like this, you can understand why you would need to know how to do this. Okay? If you look at the bands on this thing, it looks like brown, brown, black, black, brown. A lot of the blue ones, the blue or resistors, carry in this extra band to them too. So this could be gold. It could be brown, black, black, brown, brown. It could be brown, brown, black, black, brown. It could be a whole bunch of different variations. So if it was all by itself without any kind of label, you would have to have a multimeter in order to figure that out. Okay, so we're going to use our multimeter to figure out what the resistance value of this resistor is. So to do that, what you do is you first plug your black into common and your red one into this one. And what we're going to be using is this symbol right here. You see how it has an ohm mark on it? So that means ohms. So if you ever see that above this plug or any of the other multimeters, you know this is the outlet you got to use to find out what ohms are. Alright, also you see that symbol right here. So what we're going to do is rotate our dial to that symbol with this plug. And it doesn't matter what side of the resistor you get it in, it just, what you do is you press this button and it hooks onto a leg. Just like that. And you can do the same with the other. And you can see it's very secure. So now you can get a good reading to it. So it says 0.996K. Well, if you round that up, it is 1K ohm resistor. Okay, you take the 9, round it up a little bit, 1K ohm resistor, because there's no 0.99K resistor out there. They don't exist. So you would have to do a 1K resistor for that one. Nice. Alright, do I have another one laying around that has no identifier? Yes. Okay, let's try it out. Attach my little clips on here. Alright, this one doesn't have a K after it, so it's a 100 ohm resistor. See, it just got the ohms, but it doesn't have no K. So, 100 ohms. Now, if you look back at our charts that we made, always carry a notebook, by the way. So, a 100 ohm resistor is going to be brown, black, and it's got 2 zeros. So it should be brown, black, red. Alright, let's try to identify that on this resistor. Maybe now we have the colors, we can identify the colors. Brown, black, red. Let's put it on the ground here. So it's not even close, right? Not even close. So these blue ones also have a weird type of coating for them that are unlike the brown ones. So there's a brown variation of resistors and there's a blue variation of resistors, and the blue ones don't follow the same coloring path. That's the secret. So you have to go look up these as a separate entity. And if they were, it could be a good search on the internet, no doubt. That's why you'll always find the blue ones on sale, because nobody likes them. But they are, they're still good. You just got to do some extra steps for them. Alright, so that is how to measure a resistor using your multimeter and why the blue ones are so cheap. Let's go on.